All right, students. So this was our first opportunity to really dig into quadratic equations that represent something flying through the air. So I know it feels a little bit new. Just try to hang with me and learn how to solve them and how to interpret them. So when we've got an equation like this, it's really important to read what the letters stand for. So x is the number of seconds since the ball's been kicked, and y is the height of the football. So while you're going through all of these word problems, you're really just trying to identify whether I'm telling you about an x or a y value. Part A just says sketch a picture of the football's path through the air. It doesn't have to be pretty. That's really all I'm looking for. Part B says what value represents the beginning of time? Well, the beginning of time is 0, but you got to be specific that it's when x is equal to 0. Another answer that would have been just as good as saying it's the y-intercept. These two ideas are exactly the same. In a similar vein, what value represents the ground? Well, the letter y stands for the height of the football, so y equals 0 would represent the ground. And that's equivalent to talking about the x-intercepts. I want you to think about, why did I put a plural on x-intercept for this question when it's only singular for the y-intercept? Think about how a football moves through the air, and I think you'll get there. The next couple questions are little mini word problems where I give you some information and ask you which equation works. So part D says, I know the football uprights are 10 feet high, so I know that I'm looking for y to equal 10. Can't be this equation over here on the right, because that's when I made x equal to 10. So that would mean 10 seconds after I kicked it. This equation over here on the left has y equal 10, and I'd try to solve that to figure out when does it get there. So remember that the variable that's left over is what the question's asking you. So this is a when variable, but we know that it's 10 feet high. So that's the y value. Same sort of idea on E and F. Question E is just talking about at the beginning of the kick. And at the beginning of the kick, that means that x is equal to 0. So that's why we're talking about that equation there. Last one, when the ball hits the ground, we just identified the ground means y equals 0. And so that would be this equation right there. All right? So then moving on to the backside here, what we're looking at on the backside is solving equations. And it starts off with just solving some regular equations like you've done a bunch of times in the past. I'm happy to solve any of these if you want. Just put it in the comments and I'll make a video showing you how to do it. But these are pretty familiar sorts of equations that we've been working on for months. Down here, just a little bit of practice when there's parentheses in the equations. Where it really gets new is when you start seeing part C. And this is where we start talking about square roots. And the interesting thing here is that every positive number has two different square roots. So if you look at x squared equals 16, a lot of you are able to come up with, okay, x equals 4, because 4 times itself is 16. But what's even better is x equals negative 4 is also a solution. Think about it. Two negatives make a positive. So negative 4 squared, negative 4 times negative 4 is also positive 16. If you want, you can kind of simplify both of those into one answer like this, where I write positive or negative 6. This is really two numbers, but I'm just kind of shortcutting it and putting them right together like that. Here I could have x equals positive 10 or x equals negative 10. Here I could have x equals positive or negative 1. And this last one's interesting. There's only one answer, 0. There's no difference between positive 0 and negative 0. There's no such thing. 0 is neither positive nor negative. So you only get one answer there. Then down here at the bottom, this is the new type of equation that we're going to practice solving this unit. And the way you want to solve it, remember the order is our good friend SADMAP that I brought up way back in the fall. First step is to try to subtract or add. So I'll go minus 64. Second step is going to be to divide or multiply. So after I subtracted, here's where I'm at. Negative 64 equals negative 16 times x minus 2 squared. This is actually a typo right there. That should be a 2 instead of a 4. After subtracting or adding, my next step is dm, so I divide both sides by negative 16. That leaves me with positive 4 equals x minus 2 squared. Now I'm done with divide or multiply, so I'm going to do exponent. Square root of 4 splits into two pieces. Positive 2 is one of the square roots of 4. Negative 2 is the other square root of 4. To finish up, I go plus 2 to get 4 equals x, or I do plus 2 over here, and I get 0 equals x. And just to put that in context, remember we had the shape of a football going like this? This point right here is where x equals 4, and this point over here is where x equals 0. This is 0, comma 0. The ball started on the ground. This is 4, comma 0. The ball hit the ground again 4 seconds after you kicked it. And as a bonus, this point in the middle, the vertex, is 2, comma 64. So that's the new unit. That's what sort of thing we'll be working on. Please comment or ask questions if there's anything I can do, and I'll make more videos and help out. Thanks.